right, Mike Repole's back at it again. Another message on the social media platform X. He's got some more tidbits for the UFL fans that have been asking questions about what the hell is going on within the next few months. So a lot of good stuff. So let's go through it. I'm going to read what Mike Repole had to say yesterday. So basically what happened was the X account, UFL fans, was kind of asking a few questions about the UFLs. Mike Repole what he's typically done with responding to fans and stuff like that as much as possible. He did respond. He did come up with a long post. So let me just hit on what he said. So he said, I appreciate all the great questions, UFL fan. As I work closely with both our business ops and football ops teams, I've never been more encouraged about the future of the UFL. There are a lot of exciting and positive changes coming in future seasons. We'll be more timely in sharing updates and answering questions. But right now, our full focus is on putting the best product on the field and delivering the best possible fan experience in everything we do. A few quick hits. Schedules likely won't be released until January. I've seen some of the new uniforms. They look incredible. Football ops team and I will be meeting with several head coaches, and I would expect there will be changes. Rosters will come out a little bit later than usual as we finalize our new regional player strategy. And one last thing, I am working with the UFL Rules Committee. I would love to know how our fans, what would be your average ideal score for a high quality, energetic, exciting football game. So what's your ideal final score? Okay, let's break it all down. Let's go through kind of the quick hits section. Sorry. So let's start with number one, schedules. Who said they likely won't be released until January. Um, yeah, I kind of hate that. I wish they would get the schedule out sooner. I guess 2 months in advance is okay. I guess it's better than what it has been in the past. I think the UFL kind of has a tendency of waiting last second to get these schedules out. So I guess 2 months isn't bad. I would just love it if they go into the Christmas holiday with like, here's the schedule, here's some special deals to go into the new year that you can buy season tickets and stuff like that, and come watch the UFL. But my hope is if they're saying release until January, I hope Mike means that it's going to be released like right at the beginning of January because they need all the time they can get to sell these tickets. The problems what they've had in the past is that they have waited forever to talk about, hey, here's the schedule. We only got a month to go. Let's sell these tickets. Like, no, they need a ramp time to like have the sales and marketing team work hard to sell these tickets. So January isn't terrible. I kind of would like it a little bit sooner. And that's just me kind of being nitpicky here. I would prefer like December because I think it would give them a little, I think they could use all the time they can get. But I do understand that maybe they're working out some last scheduling, scheduled stuff with the other teams that they're sharing venues with. So that could be part of the issue too. But January is not bad. I just hope it's right at the beginning of January so they can give themselves at least 2 full months to sell these tickets. The second part, when he's talking about, I've seen the new uniforms. They look incredible. Cool. I would suspect these uniforms probably won't get shown until November and December, more than likely. That's typically what's been the timeline for it. So I'm excited for it. I think there's going to be some interesting combos. I wonder if he makes any updates to the teams that didn't get touched, like, the Stallions and the Defenders and the Battlehawks. Do they get uniform changes, or is it just specifically anyone who's rebranded? My assumption is to try to save money, it would only be the ones that rebranded. Like even like Dallas Renegades, I wouldn't suspect the Renegades are going to get a ton of changes themselves unless they want to put Dallas Renegades on the uniform. Otherwise, they could pretty much leave it the same as they would. But if they do bring it back to retro 2020 Dallas Renegades uniform combo, that would be really cool. I would think that's a really awesome thing to do. But, I know they're trying to save money any way they can. So my suspicion is anyone who changed brands, like the Gamblers and then the three new franchises, I'm sure they're going to get all the uniform changes. Next part, the football ops part that he said he'll be meeting with several head coaches and saying that there will be changes. Yeah, that's pretty telling. Sorry, CJ Johnson. If you survive this, I would be absolutely stunned. I'm sure there's going to be a ton of changes. I would suspect coaches like Anthony Beck are probably safe. I would hope Mike Nolan is also safe. Shannon Harris has obviously been big for DC, so he'll probably be their coach as well. Bob Stoops is a big name. I don't see him leaving. Um, the one coach I'm interested about is Wade Phillips. Is he going to come back? I think the big thing is just making sure he's healthy enough to get through the season and make sure that he's good in his personal life before he comes back to the UFL. But I mean, obviously, the perfect situation would be Wade Phillips coaching the Houston Gamblers. That would just make all tons of sense in the world. Wade Phillips was able to attract Roughneck fans in 2023 to go see the games. It would make all the sense in the world for him to, come back to Houston one more time and maybe go through another run before, he gets to the end of his career. So I'd be fascinated to see what they do on the coaching front, what changes they make. I really like CJ Johnson. I think he's a nice guy. He made some positive strides last year with the Roughnecks. He got into 5v5, which is pretty impressive from where they were starting at the beginning of the year. But when you have situations where you have like Tom Cable trying to, tell you what you need to say and do, like that's the type of stuff. And even like him calling out a player and the player's like, I didn't do that. Like he literally called out the wrong player. Like it's stuff like that. It's kind of a bad image. Like you want to have big name coaches, and I'm sure Mike Repole is going to get aggressive in finding big name coaches. I would be stunned if John Gruden isn't a part of one of these franchises, whether it's the Aviators or the Storm. Like it just feels like, when he took that picture with Gruden a few weeks back and posted it, like, man, it just feels like he's trying to say, like, hey, Gruden's going to be a coach here. We're going to figure out a place for him. Like, I would be absolutely stunned if Gruden isn't a part of this thing. I would be interested to see who else is going to be a part of this league, but I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of changes, and I'm sure Rapoli is going to get a little aggressive with the coaching and try to get some big names in here so we can, start attracting people. And I think there's going to be a regional aspect to this, which I know we'll talk about with the players for a second, but I think it'll be just as big for regional stuff with the coaches as well. Just talked about Wade Phillips, like he's a big name in Houston, with his dad, Bum Phillips, and all that. Like that makes a ton of sense. Like, why would you not have Wade coach, the Gamblers if he's healthy enough? It's going to be the same thing with these other cities. They're going to try to find, a big name in Louisville. They're going to try to find a big name that's connected with Orlando and connected with Columbus. Like that's going to be big. I think Gruden, you can just plug and play wherever you want him to. Columbus probably makes the most sense, honestly, but like he could probably go and join the Storm or the Kings, and it would be just fine because he's just a big name. But um, I'm sure they're going to look for coaches that are big in that region area and, try to bring him in. I was going to say, Ed Orgeron would be really cool to bring in as a coach, but he looks like he's interested in the Oregon State job. So he might be out. And then obviously James Franklin's a little too aggressive. Not to take a shot at the former Penn State coach, but yeah, he's probably not going to come to the UFL. But I may do another video on who I think would be good coaches for the league. So may do that in the future. But let's get to the last part, the roster part with being finalized because of regional player strategy. This one might be interesting just because Rapoli's been big on like talking about like he wants to get younger players in the league. Anyone who's older should be coaching and stuff like that. Like I'm just not sure if this is going to push out veterans on rosters and force teams to like cut or release players and to grab younger regional players. Like, is the Columbus team going to be like, let's say hypothetically, Columbus Aviators get the Michigan Panthers? Are they going to be asked to cut some of those top veterans on that team and to sign players that played at Ohio State? Like, I'm very interested to see like how they kind of handled that approach. If how they're going to do that. I mean, are the Renegades going to have to like cut Luis Perez so they can go, get a quarterback that used to, sling it around at SMU or something like that? Like, how is this going to work? So, obviously, rosters are never finalized. There's always turnover. There's always changes. There's always players coming in and out. So, my suspicion would be that this is going to be an ongoing thing. Teams are still going to sign their players and stuff like that, but I would just be more fascinated to see if if they have too many players and they have to make some cuts, so they have to bring in regional players. Like, does that go into effect? Am I overthinking that? I don't know, but after Mike Repole's comments about younger players coming in and basically trying to push out veterans, like I am a little concerned that that's gonna maybe affect a lot of veteran players' jobs just for younger players to come in and play because I don't want the league to take that direction either. And don't get me wrong, I like the regional player approach because I do think it brings in a little more community and, it does, bring in more fans that are going to be like, oh, I've seen a player at Ohio State. I want to see him play with Columbus. That's a lot of what I talked about the other day with the Continental Football League that they're doing a good job of. Like, I like that the UFL is taking that approach too. I just want to make sure that we're still getting veteran players that come in this league, good big names like Luis Perez, like Jordan Tiamu, like those guys are still pivotal to the success of the UFL, and the league should not forget that. Like, you can still bring in younger players, you can still bring in new players into the league, but just make sure you're taking care of the veterans who have carried this league on its back for years. And if they can still play at a high level, still start in this league, let them play. Let them be the faces of the league. So that would be my only gripe about it. But um, do I think there's a lot of a nothing burger? I mean, kinda. I mean, it's cool to talk about. Like, I was able to spend the last 11 and a half minutes talking about it. So obviously there's some stuff to talk about, but essentially Mike Repole is saying, yeah, we don't have a lot. We're still planning. Like, there's a lot of work that needs to go into it. And I mean, the fans are going to have to wait for probably another month or so to like hear any kind of update. So my assumption is uniforms probably are coming up soon. They're going to have to announce the coaches within the next month. So I would suspect that's probably going to be a big domino that drops either late this month or sometime next month because they're going to need to finalize the coaches so they can get the coaching staffs all signed up and ready to go. Because the player stuff won't really get handled until January, until after the NFL season's done, and they kind of see like who gets signed on the practice squads, who's getting released, after the season, and who can they attract to be, the next line of players within the UFL. So that the roster building stuff is always going to take a little bit longer, but I suspect coaches and the uniforms are probably coming up soon. So like, subscribe, comment. What do you guys think about the, Repole's latest comments? Do you think it's, did it make you feel any better about what's going to happen? Do you have questions on it? The final score, like, what do you guys think about what the final score should be? I honestly don't care. I didn't even spend any time on it because I'm like, I think it's fine the way it is right now. You probably want close games, so I feel like that's kind of an obvious response to that. But I'd be curious to hear what you guys thought about his comments, and let me know what you think. Thanks guys for watching and for listening, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks everyone.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.